Healthy living, creating a life of abundance, experiencing freedom and peace. These all come from self-mastery. Welcome to the Life by Design Institute podcast, where we tie together spirit and science to build your personal foundation. Now, here's your host, Dr. Will Miller.
Hello, everybody, and I want to welcome you to the Life by Design Institute podcast this week. Where every other week I sit down and we talk about a subject near and dear to my listeners' hearts from their emails and or near and dear to my heart. Today I have one kind of near and dear to my heart that I think is important for us to talk about, and it's about a spiritual revolution. And the reason this is so near and dear to me is I just see a world or a global shift of consciousness happening right now. And it's important, I think, for us to discuss this, talk about what's happening in the world, and find some understanding, not only from our spiritual side, but bring some science into it and understand really what is happening in this shift or sift of society that is happening around us. One of my favorite sayings, quotes that I give is, what you seek is always seeking you. The more in harmony you become with your true existence, the more magical life becomes. That's an unknown author for that quote, but if you think about it, whatever you're out there seeking is always seeking you. It's how the quantum field works. It's how spirit works. And the more in harmony you can become with your true existence, your true self, your spiritual side of yourself, which we've all kind of forgotten over the last centuries, the more magical your life becomes. And you find yourself maybe not in the same groups of friends, but you find yourself growing in frequency and finding new friends. Last week I gave a quote from Albert Einstein. It says, the field, he's talking about the quantum field is the sole governing agency of matter. So if you think about that, if the quantum field is the sole governing agency of matter, then the more in tune you can become with your higher self, your spiritual side, which is in tune with the quantum field, the more you can change the matter around you. Dr. Joe Dispenza, when I was listening to him the other day, he was talking about the fact that the more our thoughts and the more time we spend on the physical things in our life, the things that are going bad, things that bring us down, and the more thought and energy we give to those, the more we actually become matter. We become more matter and less wave. So from a scientific standpoint, everything is energy. So if we become less wave and more matter, we're stuck in the physical. And no creation, no new things, no new life can come from being stuck in matter because we're stuck, right? So let's talk about the body-mind-spirit, what I call the body-mind-spirit paradox, if you will. I mean, we're taught to define ourselves out of influences based on the 18th century logic and ideas. I mean, Darwin's theories, which for some reason we took as not theories, but truth, have defined our lives for way too long. And it isn't the right way to think. It's truly not the right way to think. We are not animals that live in a world of the survival of the fittest. It's really not how it works. Those that survive are those that learn to adapt, not those that are the fittest. And there's a difference, and we're going to talk about that. So we're taught our 5 physical senses of taste, touch, feel, smell. I'm missing one. Taste, touch, feel, smell, and see. Good thing I have a producer here helping me out. See, and we're taught those, obviously not very well. We're taught those starting in elementary school with no mention ever of our innate or spiritual senses. And we have 5 spiritual senses as well that are never brought up. We're never taught that in school. We teach them at the Life by Design Institute, but you're not taught them in school. But you do have innate senses. One is your intuition. and one is your will. And we talk about intuition a lot at the Life by Design Institute because your innate senses or your spiritual senses, they're just like your other senses. If you don't use them, you lose them. So we teach people to start to use their innate senses, the ones that we haven't been taught, the ones we haven't been told about, which are truly more important and give us more information for direction in our life than the 5 physical senses do. We're conditioned to believe that our body is who we are. We live in competition with others, and we have survival of the fittest. Well, that's absolutely not true. This body is not who we are. This body is what I use, my higher self, if you will, which is truly who I am, not this body. I just use this body for experience, to gain experience, for growth, for understanding, for learning. That's all this body is for. It's not who I am. It's not me. But we're conditioned to believe that this body is who we are, not this higher being using this body, this meat puppet, if you will, for our own service and our own purposes and our own growth and not just our own, but the growth of us as a whole, because we're truly all connected. And then there's a cultural narrative globally that we are all separate, that we're not connected, that we ourselves can only are apart from everybody else. And the problem with that is that's that old conditioning. That's that belief that no longer works. That's that belief that we've tried now for hundreds and hundreds of years to live, thousands of years to live, and it is not working. And we're starting to become a society of dis-ease. And you see the dis-ease all around us. And it's starting to reflect in our own bodies because our inner bodies, our cells, our 50 trillion cells in our body are tied to our spiritual side of us. It's our mind. That's our mind. See, our mind, when I say mind, most people think of a brain, but that's not what our mind is. Our mind really is tied to all of our cells in our body. It's everything that flows through us. And that's tied to our spiritual side. The mind is what ties the body and spirit together. And we're not taught that either. In fact, we're not really taught much about the mind at all. We're taught more about what the brain is. And the brain is just an organ in the body that makes the body work. We can change what we think, what we feel, and how we do things by our innate senses, by our spiritual side. See, modern quantum physics has proven everything that I've said, that our conditioning of survival of the fittest and this global narrative as being far from the truth. And quantum physics, this new science that truly is the new physics of the world, in my mind, is bringing about a change of consciousness for us all. And we got to get over this paradox, this paradox where we're taught that the body is the main part of us and the spirit is secondary to it, if needed at all. The spirit is who we are. The body is really just for our use. It's really for us just to use to experience things. It's a Russell Brand. I was listening to him the other day, and I love listening to him because he's just so fun to listen to. And he says all we are is a meat puppet, right, for the spirit, for our higher self. And I agree with him 100%. I think it's a great way to explain it. So let's talk about what is the body, mind, and spirit a little bit so we can differentiate what we have there. We are all connected as human beings through the sea of energy that surrounds us. I was talking to one of my daughters the other day, and she's a Christian. Her husband's very Christian. She is very spiritual, and she was talking about some of his beliefs. And I told her, no matter how you look at it or how you want to interpret it, we live in a sea of energy all around us. Whether you meditate or pray or whatever it happens to be and to whom. I mean, whether you call him divine creator or source or the universe or God, it doesn't matter. What matters is understanding that we are swimming through a sea of energy every day. The answers are out there in front of us all the time. And we say very tunnel visioned. We've been taught and conditioned to be very tunnel visioned on our what? Our body. On do I look right? Am I good enough? Do I look like the other people? Am I eating the right things? Am I saying the right things? Am I being judged the right way? All of those things. And we don't look at all the answers that are around us. What we need to do is let go of that. Find time every day in our daily practice, let go of that, and let those answers come to us through this sea of energy that's flowing all around us. And there's many ways you can do that. You can do that through prayer. You can do that through meditation. You can do it through music. You can do it through aromatherapy, through cards, all sorts of things you can use to just gather that information. And it comes to you from all around us if we just open our eyes and look. So we need to define yourselves from without. You look outside of yourself and look at what everybody else has said, and you say, okay, I'm going to define myself, and I'm going to create this identity based upon what others think. What we've done there is something just backwards of what we should be doing. How we need to start defining ourselves is looking within. Look within yourself. Get in touch with your higher self, because it's our higher self really. A good way maybe to look at this is you have a computer, which is the body, and the person using the computer is your higher self, your divine self. You're the one inputting the information. You're the one that should be loving yourself and creating peace within yourself and finding new ways to create togetherness and unity around the world. That's what we really should be doing. Not stuck in this tunnel vision of body. Okay? We're part of something much higher, and that's who we truly are. We're here to create a higher experience, something bigger than ourselves as a whole. And if you look at it that way, as a divine individual, as a higher being part of something bigger, then you start to look at life differently. Wayne Dyer used to say that if you change the way you look at something, what you look at will change. Well, that's the process you need to go through. This is just a temporary illusion. Our identity we have created is not who we truly are. It's not. It's fake. It's an illusion created by us. Our body is just a temporary vessel, period. Our true self uses it to gain experience, to grow, to learn. That's it. So the spiritual side of us is that higher self, is that divine person that we truly are, that needs to learn to use this body for what it's here for, rather than the other way around. The body shouldn't be in control. Our spirit should be in control. And the mind is the tie that binds. So let's talk about the spirit then. Spirit is love, it's unity, it's compassion, and togetherness. Think about it when you are in a good space and you're thinking or meditating in your heart space. How do you feel? You feel love, you feel peace, you feel unity, you feel compassion for others. You feel togetherness, you feel connected. You don't feel alone. You feel lighter, truly lighter, because your frequency changes. So our spirit connects through our heart and through the mind, through every cell in our body, through that mind piece of us. Okay? The body has been conditioned into being addicted to our emotions. We're addicted to our emotions. This is how that works. We have a thought. It releases a chemical into our body. That chemical that's released in our body creates a feeling. We have good feelings. We have bad feelings. Memory, which is one of our another innate senses, is perfect. We have the ability to pull memories however we need to be in a good state of being. And that's what we want to do. Catastrophic things happen to people. I deal with a lot of people and work with a lot of people with PTSDs and traumatic situations. And what I find is they spend most of their time dwelling on what happened to them. Well, if you do that, again, what the quote at the very beginning, whatever you're seeking is also seeking you. You'll find it. So what you have to do is change your body. And we can change the body because we're addicted to those emotions, because we feel them a little bit and we go down the path, and our body's kind of missing that feeling. So we think about it some more. And they say after, 10, 15 years, the experience you had has been so exaggerated that it really isn't even the truth about what really happened to you anymore. Because like any other addiction, you have to create it bigger and bigger and bigger to get the same release of chemical that you're now addicted to. So our emotions and circumstances are connected through the brain to release those chemicals, and that's your body, okay? Where your spirit connects through your mind, through your soul. Your soul connects through your mind and through your heart. So I always tell people, when you're talking to someone, after you've, yelled at them or whatever it happens to be, stop for a moment and then now speak to them from the heart. What you'll find is you'll have a totally different kind of conversation. We think in pictures. Our mind is part of all of us. It's every cell in our body. So if we think in pictures, create new pictures in your mind. Okay? Take them to your heart and learn to control the mind through our higher self. And the only way to do that is through daily practice, daily meditation, daily practices of prayer, or however you need to do that. There's lots of ways that we talk about in Life by Design to do that. The best way, the very best way, is through meditation. You have to get out of your head space for a certain amount of time in order to find the answers in the field. Otherwise, you're stuck in that tunnel vision, right, that we talked about earlier. The only way to get out of that tunnel vision is through good meditation. Get out of your head. And I always tell people, get out of your head, get into your heart. And you do that through meditation. Then your spirit can talk to you. Then you start getting the answers you're looking for. Then energy can flow through you freely. And life becomes more magical, just like I say. Okay? So let's talk about the spiritual revolution, why it's necessary. I keep kicking something under my chair here. This is why it's necessary. Right now, there's this global narrative, and it's part of our conditioning, and it leads us to believe that we're all separate. That's simply not the truth. We are all truly connected through energy, through the quantum field, through spirit. Absolutely, all connected. Okay. Bipartisan politics throughout the globe, it's designed to become a spectacle. It distracts us. It keeps us tunnel visioned, right? And it distracts us from where power truthfully dwells. And we'll do a whole show on that one of these days, where the real power is and where it truthfully dwells. The truth of the matter is, politics should really be the administration of certain spiritual principles, and principles really of oneness, togetherness, tolerance of ideas, and to make sure everyone's taken care of. That's really what politics should be about, not what you see, not the spectacle that's placed before you on TV, on your social feeds, on your texts, on your emails. Right now, you're just being bombarded with that spectacle, right? But that's really not what politics should be about. It really should be the administration of certain spiritual principles of oneness, togetherness, tolerance, and the sharing of ideas. That's simple. So as long as positive emotions like love, unity, and togetherness are suppressed, and negative emotions of, say, greed, selfishness, lust, fear are allowed to dominate our culture, will continue to be exploited by corporations who prey upon us in this aspect of human nature. Who wouldn't? That's human nature to do that. It's the human narrative for us to be allowed to do it. So why is the revolution necessary? We have to change what is happening right now, because we are starting to feel this overall dis-ease within all of us. So I believe that there is a global change of consciousness happening right now. I see it. I talk to more people. More people seem to be awakening than ever before. More people are, I think we're just fed up and tired. And I don't blame them. I don't blame us. I'm fed up and tired. We and our children, especially our children, know that the current way of thinking is based on ideas that do not sustain us into the future. So without a revolution, a spiritual revolution, without a revolution of consciousness, we are not going to be able to change the future. And the alternative's not too good. We want to change the future, trust me. Okay? What we do need to understand and what we're seeing around us is change comes with chaos. Everything that is happening must happen to bring about a change in consciousness. It has to create new ways of thinking. So it's okay. The chaos just means change is happening. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We just have to recognize it for what it is and stay on task and bring these new ideas in. Help our children bring these new ideas in because they're the ones that are really going to change it for us. Science is already showing us the way through quantum physics and epigenetics. So science is coming up to speed to help us. There is a revolution of thought that is happening now. I believe we'll survive these radical changes and we'll begin to take care of each other and treat each other all as one, because that's really what we want to do. And we're moving that direction. This is the spiritual revolution. It's time to become awake. It's time to choose a path. The light is coming. Choose light. It's the best way for us all to change the direction we're going in life. Okay? It's time to choose a path, people. Choose a path. Okay? We're experiencing self-destruction in our society because of the old way of thinking and feeling. A healthy body reflects a healthy society. It really does. The more dis-ease we have is a reflection of an unhealthy society. The more self-destruction in society, the more that individuals are experiencing destruction of their own in their inner society, within their cells, within their body. Our cells are a part of our mind. So change our mind. Okay? We can change how our mind and cells react through daily practice we've talked about. So make sure we get into our daily practice, spend time meditating. Our cells receive information from the field, which in turns create our reality. The heart whispers the truth. It's connected to the source. It's connected to the field. We are already wired to thrive. We don't need to find it outside of ourselves, people. Start looking within. The spiritual revolution is here. What we need to do is, as we choose this path, as we connect to the field, as we connect to our higher selves, is start to have understanding and compassion for people. Everybody, and everybody has a right to feel and think their own story. And once we understand that that's okay, and they can think and feel their own story, then life for us starts to change. Life becomes more peaceful. I watch people yell and scream and holler and they're mad and anymore, I just feel like I'm in a different world because I don't have to participate in that. And it's okay they have that story. It's okay that they're angry. It's okay that whatever is they've created is going on. But it has nothing to do with me or my story. And I can love, I can be compassionate, I can do all of those things without having to push my story upon them because they have their own story, and that's okay. So, spiritual revolution is here. And I want you to join me. I want you to decide to live a different life. I want you to decide to change your mind, live a different consciousness, be part of the spiritual revolution. Starting in a couple of weeks, I have a new radio show called Spiritual Revolution Radio. It's going to be right here at St. George Radio. And every 2 weeks, we have the Life by Design podcast, where we explore new consciousness and discover new ways of creating unity and abundance. So please tune in every 2 weeks to the podcast. Starting a couple of weeks, tune in every week, listen to our guests on Spiritual Revolution Radio. We're going to have a lot of fun over there and have a lot of cool guests and experience some fun things. I want to thank you all today, and please get back with your questions. You can email me at willmiller@lifebydesign.institute or go to my website, lifebydesign.institute, and get a hold of me there. Thank you all, and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Life by Design Institute podcast with Dr. Will Miller, building the foundation for healthy living, ultimate abundance, freedom, and peace. For more information, go to lifebydesign.institute. Dr. William J. Miller has had an intuitive gift from a young age. Putting his energies to good use, he started his first successful business at the age of 17. His entrepreneurial journey has led him in building several multi-million-dollar businesses, which he continues to this day. Through his unique understanding of frequency and energy, Will has built businesses into successful and productive companies and helped thousands of people create success and understand their divine purpose in life. As an accomplished speaker, researcher, and transformational coach, Will has developed spiritual-based and personal business coaching programs. In addition, Will continues to speak at organizational events, as a guest on radio shows, and as a lecturer at universities. Dr. Will's focus is helping all those he encounters to understand and to live their divine nature.